Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter the illusion of what financial success actually looks like. I mean, have you ever felt that intense pressure to just look successful? It's exhausting, right? Well, today, we are revealing the highly counterintuitive habits of the undercover wealthy. We're going to dismantle the lies society tells us about status and show you exactly how real millionaires operate behind the scenes. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this completely backwards reality. Picture this. You're sitting at a coffee shop, and right next to you is a guy in a faded polo shirt, beaten-up sneakers, who just climbed out of a 2012 Honda Civic. You probably wouldn't even look twice, would you? Yet that's the guy who just sold his company for $47 million. Meanwhile, your neighbor pulling up in a Range Rover, wearing a flashy Rolex, with temporary tags on a $90,000 BMW? Honestly, more often than not, that guy is drowning in debt, 3 months behind on his mortgage, and literally living one paycheck away from total collapse. Real millionaires often look totally forgettable, and as we're about to see, that is entirely by design.
And this brings us to Section 1, the illusion of wealth. And the absolute best place to start dismantling this illusion is by looking right in the driveway. When you see someone pull up in a brand new luxury car, your brain automatically assumes, wow, they are killing it. But wealthy people see cars very, very differently. Warren Buffett, literally one of the richest human beings on the planet, he drove the exact same old Cadillac for years. He didn't do it because he couldn't afford a new one. He did it because he genuinely understands that a car is a depreciating liability. It loses value the second you drive it off the lot. Broke people use cars as status symbols. They fall right into the trap of financing a car for 7 years at 8% interest just to impress complete strangers at traffic lights.
And the math behind that mindset? It's brilliant. If you take an average $500 monthly car payment and instead of handing it over to a dealership, you invest it into an index fund for 20 years, you end up with over $380,000. Actually, there's this famous story of a gas station janitor who wore the exact same jacket for decades and drove a totally beat-up truck. When he passed away, everyone thought he had absolutely nothing. Well, he actually left behind $8 million. He didn't buy new cars, he invested every spare dollar. Your car doesn't build wealth, your investments do.
Let's move right along to Section 2, guarding time and energy. It's time to build from tangible assets, like cars, into something even more valuable.
You know, the ancient Stoics lived by this really powerful principle, festina lente, which translates to make haste slowly. Have you ever noticed how broke people are literally always in a rush? They wear their exhaustion and this frantic hustle like a badge of honor. But when you are truly wealthy, you own your calendar. You move with intention, not desperation. Benjamin Franklin actually lived by this exact principle. He moved slowly and deliberately and became one of the most accomplished men in history, not by being the busiest, but by being the most intentional. Speed is ego, but pace is power.
What's really fascinating is how the wealthy actually structure their days. They literally block out hours on their calendar with absolutely nothing planned. No meetings, no calls, just white space. Now, to someone trapped in hustle culture, scheduling 2 hours of total stillness probably sounds totally wasteful. But the undercover wealthy know that this quiet space is exactly where million-dollar ideas are born. You simply cannot think clearly when you are endlessly running on a hamster wheel.
And guarding your energy isn't just about time, it's about the choices we make. This happens because of something called decision fatigue, which is the draining of mental energy through continuous daily choices. Every single decision you make actively depletes your brain power. This brilliantly explains why billionaires like Steve Jobs, Albert Einstein, and Mark Zuckerberg all notoriously wore the exact same outfit every single day. They weren't trying to save a few bucks on clothes. They were protecting their decision-making power like it was solid gold.
So, the crucial point here is to protect your brain power for building an empire rather than stressing over morning fashion choices. I want you to try creating your own uniform this week using a really simple 3-step process. First, pick a few outfits you feel great in. Second, rotate them. And third, stop shopping for variety just to impress people. I promise you, the mental freedom you'll get from eliminating this daily choice will be worth far more than any random compliments you might miss out on.
This brings us to Section 3, respecting every single dollar. We have to count the cost here, which, morning, usually bruises some egos. There is an ancient proverb that says, a wise man counts the cost. Notice it doesn't say a broke man, it says a wise man. John D. Rockefeller, one of the wealthiest Americans in history, famously argued with a vendor over a 5-cent overcharge. 5 cents. He understood that you don't get wealthy by pretending money doesn't matter. You get wealthy by respecting every single dollar, like it's a soldier in your wealth army. Frugality is a strategy, not poverty. The secretly wealthy are constantly checking prices and asking for discounts, while people playing status games overpay because their ego is just larger than their bank account. But here is where it gets really fascinating. The undercover wealthy, they are incredibly generous with people, but absolutely ruthless with their ego. To an outsider, it probably looks insane. A secretly wealthy person will eagerly drop a 30% tip for a waitress, or entirely anonymously pay a friend's hospital bill, much like the biblical story of the widow's mite, where generosity is measured by the heart, not the dollar amount. Yet, that exact same person will flatly refuse to buy a $100,000 luxury SUV just to show off. They tip like they're rich, but they spend like they're broke on status symbols.
And that perfectly sets up Section 4, avoiding the status trap, specifically when it comes to housing and vacations.
Let's talk about the house poor phenomenon. This is when people buy an $800,000 house just for the validation of a fancy address. They take on these massive mortgages, have zero investments, and are literally eating ramen in their beautiful granite kitchens, living one single paycheck away from foreclosure. Meanwhile, the actual millionaire is living down the street in a regular, forgettable $250,000 house, but they have a $2 million investment portfolio and sleep soundly every single night. Your house doesn't make you wealthy, your assets do.
So here is your actionable assignment for the week. The wealthy ensure their housing costs take up a maximum of 25% of their gross income. Most people are sitting somewhere at 40 to 60%, basically trading their financial freedom for curb appeal. I want you to calculate your own housing costs today. If they exceed 25% of your income, you need to either aggressively increase your income or drastically decrease your housing expense. Look, you are supposed to impress your accountant, not neighbors you don't even really like.
Now, this exact same status trap absolutely applies to vacations. 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius noted, "Luxury travel is just carrying yourself around. If you are stressed and broke, a beach in Tahiti doesn't fix it. It just puts a pretty filter on your problems while driving you $15,000 deeper into debt." While broke people are financing trips to Dubai on high-interest credit cards just for the likes, billionaires like Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, happily spent their time off camping in an old pickup truck.
You have to ask yourself this radically honest question before every single trip you book. Are you traveling to rest or are you traveling to post? If it's to post, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. The truly wealthy vacation for restoration. They go to local state parks or have staycations, not because they can't afford the French Riviera, but because they simply don't need external validation from the internet to feel successful.
As we wrap up this explainer, we arrive at Section 5, Real Wealth Whispers. It's time to build the future and make the ultimate choice between performing wealth and actually building it. Think about it. Would you rather have a photo of yourself in Santorini that gets, 500 likes on social media, or $50,000 sitting quietly in an investment account, earning compound interest for the next 30 years? This is the exact trade-off you make every single time you spend money just to impress strangers. Every time you choose the expensive car, the flashy clothes, or the financed vacation, you are literally choosing your social media feed over your financial future. So, I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Will your bank account be your only scoreboard? It is time to stop trying to look rich and start actually being rich. Because true wealth whispers while broke screams. Nobody who truly matters in this life is keeping score of your Instagram posts, your designer clothes, or your car. They'll only remember the legacy and the security you leave behind. So will you keep playing the illusion, or are you ready to build the real thing?